Jesús, traigo mi perfume. Hoy te quiero ungir. Derramo mi corazón delante de ti, Jesús. Beso tus pies delante de todos. No importa lo que pensarán de mí. Beso tus pies delante de todos. Solo quiero verte sonreír. Jesús, nadie me amó así. Oh, traigo mi perfume. Hoy te quiero ungir. Derramo mi corazón quiero unir. Derramo mi corazón delante de ti, Jesús. Beso tus pies delante de todos. Lo que pensarán de mí. Beso tus pies delante de todos. Solo quiero verte sonreír. Beso tus pies delante de todos. No importa lo que pensarán de mí. Beso tus pies delante de todos. Solo quiero verte sonreír. Jesús, nadie me amó así. Nadie me amó así, nadie más que tú. Diste tu vida por mí en esa cruz. Y ahora traigo mi perfume a tus pies. Oh, Jesús.
¡Hey! Es hora de levantarse. Pon el pie en el acelerador y dale energía a tu día. Risa, alegría, emoción, información, palabra de Dios y mucha diversión. En Tu Voz Radio comienza Acelerados.
Así es, mi gente. Muy buenos días a todos. Espero que estén muy bien en esta mañana. Hoy lunes. Bendecida de estar aquí con ustedes nuevamente. Bueno, estoy sola, pero antes de presentar a mi invitado en el día de hoy, quiero decirles que la programación de hoy está muy importante, muy buena. Mi invitado no habla nada español, pero sí que sabe hablar inglés. Y trae muchas cosas buenas para todos ustedes, así que les invito a que se conecten a través de nuestras redes sociales, también que nos sigan a través de Facebook e Instagram. También nos estamos reproduciendo en YouTube, así que a través de YouTube tú nos puedes encontrar Saludos a toda mi gente que nos está viendo a través de nuestra aplicación. Y bueno, sin más, quiero invitar, presentarles a mi invitado en el día de hoy. Es Jesse. He don't speak Spanish, but he speak really good English. Jesse, how you doing today?
Doing well. How about yourself?
I'm doing great. Thank you for us. Jesse, is so glad to have you and to Boss Radio this morning. How is it? Good, really good. How's the weather in New York?
Not bad. A little bit of rain, but we finally got some clear skies, so I'm always happy when it's a sunny day.
Okay, in November, is too cold there, or how is the weather?
So it depends. I mean, it's I want to say it's around 71 today, so it's quite nice for October. We've had really various weather years. We've had times where this time of year we have 3 feet of snow, and then we have times where in December we're still wearing t-shirts. So you really just don't know until the weather actually comes.
That's great. Well, I don't want to be in New York for this time. November and December I feel like it's pretty cold. But well, I have Jesse here. Jesse, how long you been at church, Jesse?
So I was born and raised in church. I'm a second generation Pentecostal. My family actually started going right around the time when I was born, and I'm the youngest of 4 kids. So I'm also 39 years old now, so I've been in church for the better part of 4 decades. I've actually, and throughout that time, I've served in a couple of different ministries, including like sound engineer and youth pastor and a technology advisor, both for my church and even various other ones across the country. So I've gotten blessed to do quite a bit.
Okay, that's awesome. Well, everybody want to know more about Jesse in this morning. Can you tell us a little bit about you?
Oh my goodness. Well, I suppose nowadays everyone just kind of explains what their job is. So I am a audio video engineer for a top integration company. And I'll try not to make this too complicated because, of course, I know you have a largely Spanish audience. But my clients and my customers are billionaires who have these very, very expensive homes with really cool electronics and technology. And my job, my company, is actually to design all of those systems that get installed. So it's pretty cool and unusual market, but it's fun.
That's awesome. Okay, let me say that in Spanish. Jesse está diciendo que bueno, tiene 39 años, vive en Nueva York, nació en el Evangelio. Desde entonces, pues, ha crecido en la iglesia, en diferentes ministerios. Es ingeniero en audio y...
So let's say technology engineer.
Es ingeniero en tecnología, así que eso está espectacular. Trabaja con una compañía multimillonaria, billonaria. Y pues hace diseños en sus casas y básicamente lo que hace es... trabaja en lo que es la parte de tecnología en esas casas. So, eso está muy genial. That's pretty cool. That's awesome. Well, I would like to show some part of your job, but we don't have right now pictures. So you can share with us, but in another time, of course.
Certainly.
Yeah, sure. Let's see. I have few questions here. What is one message from God that really touched you?
That's an interesting one. So
don't tell me right now. Let's go to a break, and then after the listen some music, we going to hear what Jesse going to say for us. Let me say that in Spanish. Ok, mi gente, vamos a una pausa musical y al regresar Jesse nos estará respondiendo la pregunta. La pregunta es, ¿cuál ha sido el mensaje de Dios que ha tocado su corazón? Y bueno, lo quiere compartir con nosotros, así que ya regresamos. Esto es Acelerados. Ya venimos.
Si todo lo que necesitamos de Él es más de su presencia, más de su presencia. se va. Al entrar a este lugar, mi corazón arde y no me queda nada más que sentarme a tus pies para con la luz de tu gloria, la oscuridad se va. Al entrar a este lugar, mi corazón arde y no me queda nada más que sentarme a tus pies para adorar.
alces tu voz. Conéctate con tu voz radio.
Mi gente, estamos de vuelta aquí en Tu Voz Radio cuando es lunes por la mañana. Estamos aquí con Jessie desde New York. We're here with Jessie from New York. Okay. Oh, well, Jessie, let me just tell people how I know you. I know Jessie from 6 years ago. We meet in... Where we meet? A new conference? NYC.
Yes.
Yes. So that's... Okay, tell me.
Well, I think I was in Oklahoma, if I remember correctly. Where was that one?
Well, actually, I don't remember. I know it was NYC. So I don't know if it was Indiana or Missouri. I don't know. Yeah, I think
I
it was
don't remember,
Indiana.
but it's been 6 years. I know that.
Yeah, 6 years. So pretty much 6 years, we still look great. Thanks, God. Okay, Jessie. We go to listen some music and come back, but you have a song answer for us.
Yes. So you asked what was one message that touched me. I guess if I heard that correctly, it was a message from God.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the most impactful things that I had experienced was I was at the altar kind of finishing praying, and God specifically told me to pray with a person who I've prayed with before, but it was very specific. They just said, go pray with that person. And as I went over there, almost immediately after praying with him or started to pray with him, they actually received the Holy Ghost. And they just kind of needed somebody there just to continue to give them the confidence to move forward. So it was really, while it was an amazing experience for them, it was actually an equally amazing experience for me to be used in that way. So it was just a memorable and awesome experience.
How old was you in that moment?
Oh, that was, let's say around 30 or so. It wasn't terribly long ago.
Okay. Well, that's great. That's awesome. What you can say for the young people, like teenager. Oh, you know what? We want to know about when you was teenager. What part it was so difficult in that age?
Let's see. I think the most difficult thing has been, and I think this has even, I'm going to say gotten worse, is that people don't really know how to communicate. I think that as you go back, let's say, 30 or 40 years, everyone was forced to have conversations face to face. Everything was face to face. Now, as we live in this technology-driven society, everything is digital and virtual, and you have this ability to answer slower or not answer at all. So versus, back in the day when you would meet somebody face to face and they would ask you a question, whether it was a difficult question or an easy question, you had to answer because you were in front of them. Now somebody sends you a text message, and if you don't really know how to answer it, you could ignore it. And what it has led to is just people not having the social skills needed to really build important relationships. So for me, growing up where technology started to become really prominent in our lives, I found that it was kind of harder to build friendships with people who were just kind of distant by default.
That's true. Let me say that in Spanish for everybody. Jessie está diciendo que la parte más difícil de ser adolescente es que cuando él está adolescente, pues se podían tener comunicaciones y amistades y tener comunicaciones cara a cara, pero ahora pues la tecnología ha avanzado tanto que pues es difícil hacer amistades cara a cara, sino ahora todo es virtual y eso pues ha sido difícil, o creo que es lo que nos quiere decir en el día de hoy. Well, that's pretty great, and I agree with that. I feel like when I was a teenager, my games or my hobbies, it was play outside with friends, or it was more social life than right now. But well, this is the generation. If you can change something in this generation, what you can change?
I would say I would encourage. Well, if I could just change something, it would probably be that people knew how to communicate. I think that's a big one for me. I also think that I wish that people had more self-confidence. So the reason I
Okay.
say that is because so many people are trying to impress everyone that they're kind of forgetting that they're just like an amazing person to begin with. So when you have this society of people trying to be better than one another instead of just being great together, it actually ends up with more division than unity.
Okay.
Good luck with that.
That's amazing, Jesse. Thank you for sharing that with us. Jesse está diciendo que una de las cosas que cambiaría en esta generación sería definitivamente la comunicación. Creo que es un aspecto muy importante, y dijo Jesse. Y la segunda sería ser nosotros mismos, porque él piensa que en esta generación se hace más de crecer personalmente y nos olvidamos en crecer juntos, que podemos crecer juntos. So hay más que una división entre personas. That is amazing, actually. What do you think about self-love? Like, love yourself more the other person.
I think there is some validity to that. I think in some ways you have to not be selfish. I guess my cat's in the background there somewhere.
I can see.
That's our hiding spot. So not hiding very well at the moment. So I think it is important to. I think that goes back to my comment of self-respect. I think it's important to love the person that you are, knowing that you can still love yourself even if you're not perfect, even if you haven't accomplished everything you need, even if you don't, check every box that you wish you were or, had done at this point in your life. At the same time, I also think it is important to not be selfish, because you can also love yourself so much that you get to the point where you're selfish and you will alienate people or offend people and stop yourself from having relationships and or friendships.
Yeah, that's really good.
Sorry, that was all over the place.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I can say, can you repeat that again? Just kidding. Let me just say that in Spanish. Okay, Jesse está diciendo pues que una de las cosas que él piensa que es muy importante es, por supuesto, amarse uno, pero también amar a los demás, no ser egoísta, es muy importante. Y pues creo que se ha transversado ese concepto hoy en día. Yeah, I think you can go to sleep or something. What is the name of your cat, Jesse?
Her name is Zoe.
Jelly?
Zoe.
Oh.
Zooi. Zoe.
Really? Oh, okay. Okay, oh, just say hi for. Okay. Well, Jesse, pretty much, we want to know about your career. I feel like it's pretty interesting what you're engineer in audio and video. Can you tell more about it?
So I think my actual job is complicated and hard to describe. It's easier to explain what our customers do and what they want.
Mm-hmm.
So let me try to relate this for a moment. In our houses, we might have a TV installed on the wall, or maybe we have a speaker or something. We probably everyone now has Wi-Fi throughout their house. More people will have doorbells with cameras in them and things like that. Our clients have unlimited budgets. They have more money than I could even explain. So for them, their TVs are the biggest and the best. They have speakers in every room of the house that are higher quality than anything we've normally listened to. The internet systems they have are designed for top level hospitals, corporations, and airports in their house. And their security and other automation systems tie everything in together. So one app on their phone is controlling everything from their lights to motorized shades to TVs, speakers, the gate to get into their house, the pools and hot tubs and fountains are all tied in together. So that's what our clientele is, and that's what our jobs are. My specific job is to build all of the schematics and all of the designs for how that all gets put together. So it's a little bit crazy, but it's cool.
Yeah, and it's a lot of responsibility. I feel like, well, but you like it, so that's good. That's good though.
It's different.
So so if you are designing a house, how long that take for design that kind of work?
It varies. It could take anything from a couple of hours to a couple of days. It depends on the size of the houses. Typical house in North America might be 2,000 or so square feet. Some of our clients' homes are between 20 and 30,000 square feet. And some of these houses are anywhere from $50 to $100 million, which is, again, nutty. But depending on the size of the house and the amount of equipment they have, we kind of determine how long it takes to design everything. Some of these houses will take 3 or 4 years to build. So some of these installations are very, very involved and tedious.
Wow, that's crazy. 4 years, but well, a good project, I guess, or big projects, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Bueno, Jessy está diciendo que pues para diseñar una casa depende del tiempo, bueno, depende del tamaño de la casa. Si es pequeña puede durar unas horas para diseñar este trabajo, y si es una casa muy grande puede tardar de 3 a 4 años. Bueno, le quiero decir a toda mi gente que nos sigan a través de nuestras redes sociales, y si tienen algún comentario para el día de hoy, aquí tenemos a Jessy que estará respondiendo todas sus preguntas en el día de hoy, así que no se nos vayan a ir. Espero que hayan tenido una buena mañana. Vamos a escuchar un poco de música y al regresar de la pausa musical entraremos con Jessy. Antes de irnos a pausa, voy a hacerle esta pregunta a Jessy. Okay, before they go to a little break, I want to ask you something. We are talking about, last week we was talking about young people, single people at church, and what is the reason the young people go away from church. And then we would like to know what do you think about it, Jessy, but don't tell me right now. Let's go to listen some music, and then after that, you're going to tell us.
Sounds good.
A nuestro lado está, suya es la victoria, ha vencido ya, no nos detendremos, no nos moverá, Cristo está aquí. Oh, oh, lleva nuestras almas, nos libra del mal, suya es la victoria, ha vencido ya, no nos detendremos, no nos moverá. Viviré, no moriré, con él
mejor música. Solo en Tu Voz Radio.
Hola, ¿qué tal? Bendiciones. Mi nombre es Jan Barrientos y quiero invitarte a descargar la aplicación Tu Voz Radio para que escuches buena música y un mensaje positivo para tu vida.
De ti, yo quiero más de tu amor, anhelo servirte, mi Señor, con mi corazón.
Así es, mi gente, estamos de vuelta aquí en Acelerados en el día de hoy, lunes por la mañana. Aquí tenemos a Jessie. Bueno, Jessie. Okay, Jessie, this is your turn to answer the question we talked about before.
Why are so many
Young
youth
people.
leaving church? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's a number of reasons for it. One of which has to do with our society. Is our, I'll say, a common family unit.
Mm-hmm.
So over the past 50 years, the amount of children who only live with one parent has doubled. What has happened over time is what we think of as a traditional family, mom and dad, kids, all together as a family with core family values, has dissolved and diluted a lot. Essentially, we don't have the values we used to. Because of that, and knowing that parents are probably the most important part of teaching Christian values and teaching Christian stuff into a family, and now we have parents who do not quite have the same foundation that they need to teach their kids. As we hit the teen years, and especially when there's a really big distance with college and people move away, they don't have the foundation that we used to build years ago, and they don't have the same direction that, let's say, you or I, may have grown up with when we were younger. So as a result, because these kids haven't built relationships with God, not just attending church, but really building, a relationship with God, they don't see the value, or they don't understand why it's important when there's nobody really requiring them to go there. So they finally have this decision-making ability to do whatever they want in their lives. They can travel, they can move, they could do, anything. They're adults now. They don't understand why going to church is necessary, or why they would want to spend time doing that when they now have all this freedom. So I think a lot of it just has to do with the way that families have changed.
Okay. And what about if the teenager or the young people born in a Christian family and then have a good values and culture and everything? They have a good parents, but then still just go away from church. Because we have too many examples, like you say. But after, we have young people who then born in a really good family, in Christian family with really good parents, but still then go away from church. So what do you think about it?
Sure. So that, I think, my answer is going to tie back to one of my previous answers, which is that this new generation of kids is trying to impress each other. They're all trying to essentially make themselves look the best. And they are doing that by trying to be accepted by their peers. With you have these teenagers that have the freedom to make their own decisions. They are doing whatever society and their friends will deem to be cool or correct or fun, since they're trying to impress their friends. If going to church is not impressive, they won't do it. So instead of being led by their values, they're being led by the approval of others, and not everyone is going to really point you in the right direction, especially when it comes to spirituality.
That's true. Okay, let me say that in Spanish. Jesse está diciendo que una de las razones que él piensa por la cual los jóvenes se van de la iglesia es que quieren impresionar a los amigos, y entonces cuando comienzas a impresionar a los amigos, entonces te pierdes de tu propósito o tu dirección por impresionar a otros. That's really good, and I feel like this is happening at church every day, actually. So that's pretty good point. Thanks, Jesse, for that. Well, I have a video I want to share with you and with everybody. It's a young girl. She wanna share with us her reasons about why young people go away from church, and then it's pretty interesting what you say. So let's see.
I feel there are three main reasons why our young people are leaving the church. Firstly, if we don't have a love for the word and we're not founded in the word of God, when different forms of doctrines, of ideologies, and there are many of them, come our way, we can be tossed to and fro. And so we're not grounded, and we can be easily influenced by peer pressure, by the status quo, by this season's version of the truth. There are many of them, and they are crying out loud and proud about that, their versions of the truth. But if one is grounded in the word, we know that Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. And that's it. But in so not knowing the word, our young people can lack a relationship with God, and they only know God from what their parents say, or maybe their elders, and they don't truly find God for themselves, know God for themselves. And when you lack that intimacy with the Lord, you become apathetic to the things of the kingdom of God. You don't care. Until eventually you give in to the world, you give in to the cry of the world and the temptations of the world. And lastly, prayerlessness. Prayer is our fuel. We know that in the word that it says the fire shall ever be burning in the altar, it shall not go out. And if that fire goes out, we have got no fuel. And our engines die, it cannot start. And it's the same with our walk with God. Prayerlessness means that we can't go any further. So more than ever, we need to go back to the word, to go back to prayer.
What do you think, Jesse?
I think that I would say I completely agree with her. Some of her points actually overlap my points about, building a foundation, making sure you have your own relationship with God. But she added on two things that I didn't immediately think of, but I completely agree with. One is that there is a lot of confusion in the world today, especially when it comes to religion. And I rarely use the word religion, but when you have all of these different doctrines and interpretations and these slightly different versions of the truth, it makes it harder for people to figure out what the truth is. And then they wonder if there's any truth at all. So it actually kind of shakes their foundation because they're not sure if any of them are real. So they start thinking none of it is real, which is, obviously a really big problem. But, we know that the devil is the author of confusion, so it's really on brand. The other thing is prayer. And again, it's almost silly that I didn't mention that earlier, but I think it's very true that many of today's youth don't have a prayer life. When I first became a youth pastor, my students were, let's say, I want to say they were 11 to 15 years old or something in that range. And at the beginning of every class, we would pray, just a basic prayer for whatever it was. It could be, various prayer requests we'd collected, or just for the upcoming service, or for trips that were coming up, or health concerns, whatever they were. And I found that most of the class was really just kind of putting their head down and just listening to whoever was praying that day. And it became apparent that they don't actually know how to pray. And I paused them one time and I'm like, listen, why don't you guys speak also? And they're like, oh, well, we that person's praying. And I'm like, and it became apparent they don't know how to pray and they don't have a prayer life, or they think it's too complicated, or it's only for certain people, or you need to have a very complex vocabulary to use these big biblical words. And it's not that at all. It's a conversation with God. And I had to spend that entire class, I don't know what the lesson was supposed to be now, but I essentially threw it out. I'm like, we're going to learn how to pray today. Like, we're going to put together everything. And I essentially had these students draw up collectively a prayer. I was like, what would you start a prayer with? Like, how would you address a person? You'd be like, hi, Karen, hi, Jesse, whatever you say. So we were like, they would say like, okay, well, dear Jesus, it's to him. And I'm like, yeah, so we're going to write that on the board. And we wrote down an entire prayer that they were able to read, because it wasn't something they were doing. Sometimes even in like leadership positions, we kind of forget some of these fundamentals that we know are important, but haven't really been communicated. So you don't realize why people aren't getting it until you realize that they're not doing some of what we would describe as the basics.
And that's important.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, that's really important. And then what you share with us, I feel like it still happens. It still happens at church. I can see the teenagers or the young people, not everybody, but more like 100%, maybe 50% of the young people, then don't pray. Then just close the eyes and then listen the other person. And then, it's hard to understand why they can't pray. It's hard to understand. But well, you was a young pastor, so you can tell us more about it. After that you share that with you, do you group then grow, then change? Do you see something change in your group?
Yes. So one, I almost immediately noticed that the kids were going to the altar sooner. What I mean by that is, at the conclusion of service, we would open up the altar, for altar call. And I'm going to say the same people would go to the altar in the same order, meaning our core members, the established Christians, prayer warriors, would immediately go up, and the rest of the adults would kind of follow behind them. And then the kids would kind of have to go up because there's nobody really left sitting. So it was almost out of, like a herd mentality. They were just kind of following the flow, but not for any particular reason. They didn't want to be up there. They were just kind of going to the front and congregating with their friends and hanging out up there for the remainder of altar call. What I saw a shift, and this was an important thing for me, was that then as soon as altar call opened, they were each individually going up, not congregating as a group to talk, but to then try to pray. So you had kind of this, I guess I had instilled some level of a burden to use that time to really grow, their relationship with God, which is not something they were doing before. I also found that they had more of a bond. So again, you have this this routine where their parents are going to drive them to church. They go to the class, they hang out with their friends. Eventually I round up the class and we have some sort of lesson, and then they hang out in the hallways, and then they would go to the Sunday service. So it was just kind of like just part of what they were doing, but not for any particular purpose. They were just there. What happened is, because of that, they started developing more of a purpose for being at church. They wanted the class to start because they wanted to learn something that day. They were, would go into Sunday service listening to the pastor or the preacher that day, wanting to understand the lesson. And when altar call came, they wanted to go to the front to actually pray. So by having that lesson, having that talk, like I said, I think it put a little more of a burden or passion in them to develop a relationship that they hadn't before.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And then you see a lot progress in that?
Yes. I mean, again, I would notice it in a variety of ways. One might be how often they would want to get involved. So, for instance, if we were to have a youth service, certain kids may not really care because, again, it's just a Friday night. They could be hanging out with friends. Why would they be at church? Or even something as fun as a district conference or a youth congress, NAYC. You would have kids that are just like, well, I don't want to go to that because I'm going to be away from my friends. Now it started creating bonds within the church where they wanted to go to these youth services, not just for the camaraderie and for the friendships, but to actually attend the youth service was important to them. So again, the fact that they started building that passion was a really great result.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Okay, so let me just say that in Spanish. Bueno, a todos los líderes de jóvenes, creo que estos son principios muy importantes que debemos aprender a cómo ayudar a nuestros jóvenes a que tengan una relación íntima con Dios, que ellos puedan encontrar el propósito en la iglesia, el propósito en Dios, y de esa manera ellos van a poder estar un poco más cerca de Dios. Y bueno, yo creo que eso sería una decisión también de cada persona, pero creo que es importante conocer el propósito con el cual Dios nos ha creado y pues de ahí surge esa necesidad de estar cerca de Dios, de escuchar al predicador, de estar involucrado en las cosas de Dios. Well, Jessie, thank you so much for sharing the experience with us. I feel like it's amazing and that can help young pastor at church. So that's great. Is something else you can tell us today? Like your last message for the young people who is watching us, but don't tell me right now. Let's go to a little break, and then after that, we're going to listen, Jessie, with the last message for today.
Okay.
Celebra
Así es, mi gente, celebra victorioso es el canto que acabamos de escuchar en el día de hoy. Bueno, nos fuimos a comerciales, bueno, nos fuimos a una pausa musical y al regresar de esta pausa musical íbamos a escuchar a Jessie su última reflexión para todos los jóvenes. So, Jessie, now it's your turn.
Okay, so
Feel free to talk.
Sure. So I've talked to a number of my clients over the years, and I've built some great relationships with them. And I always tend to ask them the same question, like, what would you do differently? What are the things that you are glad that you did in life? And what are the things that you wish you would change? And these are people who are millionaires or billionaires many times over. And they all said the same thing. I wish I worked less. I wish I cared less about my education, my businesses, whatever. And I wish I cared more about my relationships and my family and the people I met and the memories that I made. And I think that applies to me as well. Over the course of my life, I've spent a lot of my time working and doing certain things that felt important at the time. Being stylish or having a nice car or something, material possessions. And in reality, if I could rewind and do it again, I would spend more time nurturing certain friendships and relationships, paying attention to certain people in my life, and having more experiences, making more memories that would be more important than physical things that just won't matter when I'm older. So if I could impart some wisdom or give some advice, I would say care more about people and experiences than anything else.
Oh, I was crying. Jessie, that's really sweet. Well, I can't say I can express, but I feel like it's really important have memories and spend time with family, and also with God. I feel like well, you are young people who are, let me say that in Spanish. Los chicos jóvenes que nos están escuchando, Jesse nos acaba de decir que lo más importante y que si a él pues podría cambiar algo, sería compartir más tiempo con sus seres queridos, compartir más tiempo haciendo memorias, teniendo amigos, en relaciones, porque al fin y al cabo pues trabajar y obtener las cosas que pues él se planteó, pero cuando regresa atrás, pues no tiene esas memorias que le hubiese gustado tener. Así que lo que él quiere decir es que aprovecha tu juventud, comparte con tus padres, comparte tiempo con Dios, comparte tiempo haciendo cosas buenas para que cuando ya estés mayor, pues no te arrepientas de eso. I feel like, yeah, when you are more young, not everybody, but mostly people want to have a good car, house, of course, money, and so many things. But when we spend a lot of time in that, we forget the more important thing, and you say that. So I feel like it's really great message for everybody. And then, well, thank you, Jessie, for spending time with us. I appreciate that. And then I feel like this is kind of be a blessing for everybody.
Well, indeed. Thank you so much for the invite.
Yeah, of course. And then, well, the last question, the last question for today, Jessie. When you go with a date, I mean, with someone with a key or something, do you pay the first date or no?
I think whoever asks should pay, but I think that more often than not, it's the guy who asks. So that would kind of rule that one out.
That's cool. Yes, that is a good answer. Because I have some friends then say, well, the first day, I feel like the gear have to pay. Or just 50-50. Or, yeah, I don't know the person yet, so why I have to pay? But well, Jessie say that if you ask, if you made the invitation, of course you have to pay.
Mm-hmm. That said, more girls should ask. Guys are really shy now. It's not their fault, but there are a lot of, I hear all the time, there are girls that were like, oh, well, I wish this guy would, like, ask me out. Ask him out. It's a free country. You're allowed to. We don't get this. Okay.
But, well, that can be another topic for another program, but it's a lot. It's really deep what we can say about it because, some girls want to, what I can say? Okay, some girls wait for the boy asks for inviting or something or go or talk. But if the guy don't say anything, if the girl don't say anything, well, what do you think?
Then they'll both be single.
Exactly. But, that can be another topic for another day. Thank you, Jessie, for sharing time with us. I appreciate that. And then it's going to be a blessing for everybody. And I hope you can be in another program with us.
Sounds good.
Okay. Let me say that in Spanish. Ok, a toda mi gente, el programa ya ha llegado a su final en el día de hoy. Espero que este programa ha sido bendición para tu vida. Y no te olvides de compartir. Recuerda que nuestro número de teléfono es +1 404 4055. A través de este número puedes comunicarte con nosotros. Bueno, nos vamos hasta una próxima semana. El Señor me los bendiga y que tengan una feliz semana. Hoy lunes, tengan una feliz semana. Jessie, God bless you. I hope to see you soon. And then in another program.
Sounds good. Until next time.
Next time.